and we titled it. It's actually once I toggled a while ago.
Are we live?
Sorry about that. Okay.
Why is it coming up on mine?
We're live. It should be connecting momentarily.
Okay.
Yep, so we got the signal going through. I get the YouTube notifications.
Is it under Greg or Greg Raths for Congress?
Both.
Oh. I don't see it.
Just refresh your page.
Here it is.
All right, everybody. My name is Mark Nugent, and we are live. Today we are speaking with the Mission Viejo Mayor and Congressional Candidate for the 45th Congressional District, United States Marine Corps Decorated Marine Corps Colonel Greg Raths. Some applause.
Thank you, Mark. Good
Before-
to be here.
Before
Continue.
before we get into this, do you have a website people can visit?
You go to gregraths.com, GREGRATHS.com. That's the website for my congressional campaign.
All right, let's do a screen share. I'll show the people at home. Go into it real quick. Can they donate or volunteer at the website?
Yeah, there's certain areas on the website you can go to either meet Greg. We go over Get Involved. If you go to the Get Involved part of the website, you'll be able to put in your information. It'll go to one of my assistants on the campaign, actually my campaign manager.
Okay, I'm on your website now. That's their screen. If you look at my screen, that's what they're looking at.
There you go.
So, all right. So the big red button for donate or get involved for volunteer. Okay.
Yeah, there's certain areas on the website you can go to either meet Greg, go over Get Involved. If you go to the Get Involved part of the website.
Okay. So thank you so much for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, first of all, Mark, thanks for coming into my home. As you can see behind me, the Christmas spirit is alive and well in the Raths house. Greg Raths grew up born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona, the son of wonderful parents. My father was a World War II pilot over in Europe with the 9th Air Force, and I have 7 brothers and sisters, so a big Catholic family. After I finished college, I went to Arizona State. After college, I joined the Marine Corps to be a fighter pilot myself, and after training in Pensacola, Florida, Meridian, Mississippi, I ended up in beautiful El Toro, California. So it's good to be here in California. Got here in 1977, and pretty much I've been here ever since. Became a homeowner in 78 and owned a home since here. So California's my home. Met my wife here, 3 wonderful kids. All 3 are married, and my twin daughters live in Irvine with their families, and my son lives in San Juan Capistrano. He's a major in the Marine Corps. At 30 years after duty in the military flying, retired at the rank of colonel, 3 combat operations I flew in. I was a squadron commander, wing commander, group commander. Went on to fly for JetBlue Airways as a commercial airline pilot with flying the Airbus 320, and then went on to, although after a few years, became president of a local company here in Anaheim. Retired from them and went into politics, ran for U.S. Congress in 2014, came in 3rd. You got to be in the top 2 in the primary. Then I ran for city council, currently in my 2nd term on council, and currently the mayor of Mission Viejo.
How long did you spend in the Marines again? What was it?
30 years active duty. My son's been in 20 years. My father served 4 years. So we have 3 generations of military aviators. Ever since I was a kid, I loved to serve. As a young Cub Scout at 8 years old, I learned what working in the community meant. My mother was my den leader, followed by my scoutmaster was my father. When I turned 11, I joined the Boy Scouts and rose to the rank of Eagle Scout. So ever since I've been 8, I've been into service, serving in either my country, my community, and now currently the city of Mission Viejo as the mayor. And now I'm in the race to win the 45th congressional seat here in Orange County, which is South Orange County, Irvine, down to Mission Viejo, including Lake Forest, Tustin, Laguna Hills, Laguna Woods, Villa Park, and Rancho Santa Margarita. It's pretty big.
Awesome.
Pretty big district, but currently we have a congresswoman, and I'm sure we'll get into it, who just within the last hour voted to impeach our president, to impeach our commander-in-chief, and I'm totally against that, and we'll talk more about that. But she does not fit the district, and she needs to go.
Also, before we get too much into it, also on camera today and joining us is your campaign manager, Cole Patterson. Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Cole Patterson, and I am a Greg Raths campaign manager. I'm also a constituent of Greg's. I live here in Mission Viejo. That's why I wanted to come work for him.
All right, before we get into the planned questions, I have a very serious question, a big one. It's a rumor I heard. Is that all right?
Sure. Rumors are good. Let's make sure we find out what the rumor is, and I'll either confirm or deny it.
It's a whopper of a rumor, and I do want to ask you here live because, I know you're pretty honest, and you give us honest answers, and I don't mean to ambush you.
No.
But I just heard, and it's big, and if it's true,
huge.
It's very interesting. I think it changes things for a lot of people. But
all right, what's the rumor? Let me either confirm or deny it.
Okay, but first, can I get your thoughts on impeachment?
We could talk about an hour on this. This is just wrong. Just absolutely wrong. The founders, high crimes, treason, bribery, high crimes and misdemeanors, and nothing of that occurred on a phone call to a third world country called Ukraine, and the Democrats just took off with this without even thinking, and it was, I'm still in shock. It just happened. I think our president's just winding up a speech in Michigan, but I'm totally 100% against impeachment. But it will now go to the Senate, where he'll get a fair trial, and I'm convinced 2/3 of the senators, meaning 67, will not remove him from office. So we'll go through that charade in January. So hopefully by the end of January, this is over, and we move on with the country. And I served at the White House when I was a colonel in the Marine Corps. Actually, I started as a lieutenant colonel. I was assigned by the Pentagon to work at the White House military office. I was the deputy chief of staff for the military office. My office was in the East Wing. I worked for an Air Force colonel and a political appointee who was appointed during the Clinton administration. Our job was to ensure the president, the commander-in-chief, vice president, cabinet members, and senior members of Congress were given the military support they deserved. For instance, Air Force One Squadron took care of the president, obviously, with his 2 big 747s and some smaller airplanes. His helicopter squadron was based down in Quantico, Virginia, with his fleet of helicopters. Camp David's run by the Navy up in Maryland, the mountains of Maryland. His communication team was all Army and Air Force, and obviously his medical team, his doctors and nurses, were all military. So on a given day, 2,200 active duty personnel support the President of the United States, support the Commander-in-Chief, and my job was to oversee that support along with, we had a small staff in the White House of 6.
Okay. Can I interrupt real quick? We have a bunch of comments, and to the audience that's watching, we will answer your questions, but I kind of want to get to this impeachment news and also this big rumor that's been floating around out there that we want to put to rest.
All right.
So you said many times that impeachment hurts the country and grinds work to a halt. Can you go into some of the details of things that do not get done when everyone is wasting time on impeachment?
Well, I worked at the White House as obviously a nonpartisan job because then at the time it was a Democratic president, but we stay. It was a 3-year tour of duty, and if it could have been between Clinton and then Bush, but it happened to be my time was 96 to 99, so I was there for the whole impeachment of President Clinton. And once there's articles of impeachment passed, which we saw today, that everything comes to a stop, because now everyone starts lowering up. The lawyers get involved, and everyone kind of goes to their respective corners and starts figuring out how the trial is going to go. And at the time, President Clinton had his team of lawyers, and now the House comes in with their House managers, and the Supreme Court justice comes in to oversee the whole trial. So it's sad because we're still trying to get through a budget. The budget was supposed to have been done and completed and voted on by September 30th. That was the end of the fiscal year. That has not been done or completed. The health care bill, we're hoping to get pre-existing conditions and more health care and better health care, less expensive health care for all our citizens. That's been put on the back burner. The whole immigration issue that's going on at our southern borders, and those people and that are overstaying their visas, little is it talked about that 50% of those people that are here illegally have overstayed their visas. And you kept hearing tonight on television, the president is not above the law. The president is not, well, neither are these 20 million people who came here illegally, and we need to discuss that too. Are we going to impeach all 20 million people? No, we need to discuss that issue. So let's talk about immigration and the taxes. No one's talking about the taxes. Let's make the tax bill that was passed a couple of years ago permanent. So there's a lot we need to do, and unfortunately now, through Christmas and all through January, not much is going to get done. But hopefully our president, he can do two things at once, and he can work with at least the Republicans in Congress and try to get as much done as possible.
Okay, so I heard back when you were working at the White House that you guys almost caught bin Laden in 1998, but impeachment got in the way.
Yeah, here's an issue when I worked there, and again, National Security Advisor and that team kind of worked all those issues, but, I was aware what was going on, and in December 98, we were getting very close to finding out where Osama bin Laden was, and this is 98, 3 years before 9/11, and we had a very good chance. We did locate him. The president was concerned with collateral damage because I believe we spotted him in Kandahar, and he was hesitant on putting a strike together, but what I understood at the time, the Pentagon had everything ready to go. And the whole impeachment thing, he just talked to the nation about how he did have an affair with Monica Lewinsky, and the president walks out to the helicopter and flies to on his summer vacation. So this is earlier in the year, but he flies to Martha's Vineyard, and then he actually has to fly back the next day to bring on a strike.
So is it possible it could have prevented 9/11 if we got bin Laden?
Yes, and that's the thing. They're just thinking, we got to get rid of President Trump, but all this stuff kind of gets put on the back burner. And there's some issues we should be working with. Russia, obviously, we got to be working with the problems in Iran. North Korea has been put on the back burner. And obviously all the teams are working, but the president and his staff and his lawyers get so bogged down on this impeachment, getting ready for the trial, that some things fall through the crack. And we saw that happen in 98, and working to get Osama and ready to do a strike in December 98, and the president didn't do it.
Wow, so 9/11, possibly wars could be prevented.
Yes.
And it makes you wonder what we're missing right now.
Right. So one thing as a congressman, if I get elected or when I get elected, I understand Washington. I worked with the Pentagon. I worked with the Congress. All congressional bills with military issues came through our office. I work with legislative affairs on military issues. So I understand that part of Washington.
Okay. So I think it might be a good time. We've got a few hundred people watching us now.
Oh, great.
Good time to ask about this rumor, because it's tied directly to this.
There's a rumor?
Big one.
Keep talking.
So I apologize. It's a big deal. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to ask for
it's no
security
big
reasons
deal.
or something. Okay.
What are you talking about?
I just want to be respectful. That's all. So is it true that you recently had a meeting with the President of the United States of America?
Well, I wouldn't say a meeting per se. The president was down in San Diego in September.
Okay.
And a good friend of mine, well connected with the Republican Party in San Diego,
Okay.
said he had an extra ticket for a luncheon. So I was able to go down to San Diego. It was at the the U.S. Grant Hotel,
Okay.
and I was able to meet with the president just briefly. We talked a little bit, and then we all had lunch. There's probably about 150 people there, so he is aware. Obviously, he's briefed up who was there, and he's quite aware of this race in the 45th district.
Okay.
And from what he said, that this is a very winnable district, and he knows it's contested with several Republicans, and but he was aware of the district.
Wow.
And,
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he thinks this is the one seat. If he wants to get the Congress back, it's through the 45th congressional district. He wants to win the 45th, the 48th, 39th. And I believe the 49th. We get those 4 seats back. And then we could start chipping away at the Republican Party. All 4 of those congressmen, even the 46, all 5 of those congressmen today voted, all Democrats, for impeachment. That was Levin and Ruda, Lou Correa, obviously Katie Porter, and Cisneros. And I called them all yesterday to say, this is Orange County. We're very conservative. And Lou Correa, Congressman Correa, did call me back, which was pretty cool. He called me back and he said, we're just going to agree to disagree because he's very good with veterans. And I said, sir, the veterans are not happy if you're going to impeach this president. What he's done for veterans, what he does for the military, it is second to none. As all the commanders in chief I served under, and I started with Jimmy Carter. And what I've served under, this president has just been fantastic and amazing. And the veterans in these districts are not going to like that you're impeaching this president.
Yeah, rumor has it that he already knew who you were when you met him.
He was aware. They obviously his staff briefed him on who was in there. So he knew I was the colonel from the 45th.
It must have been pretty amazing. I've never met a president.
It was. Obviously, I worked at the White House, so I did meet President Clinton. I did meet then President Bush when he was vice president, George H.W. Bush. I met him at a luncheon when I was younger, and I did meet Ronald Reagan on the campaign trail when he was running for president. He came out to California to campaign. My wife and I went to one of his rallies.
So is it true that the president knew that you were the colonel from the 45th?
Right.
Did he say that? That's the rumor I heard.
That's a good rumor. We'll go with that. No, he did say, though, after the primary, he'll be out here to campaign for all.
That was my next one. That's why I heard that, too.
He will be out. And I talked to his staff mostly afterwards, and they said he'll definitely not going to give up on California. I talked to Brad Parscale, who's his campaign manager at the California convention we had out here in Indian Wells in August, and they said we're not giving up on California. We got to win a few of these seats back. Obviously, they want to win the other Katie's seat back, Katie Hill. They want to get that seat back. We got to reclaim Duncan Hunter's seat down in San Diego. Keep that Republican, and we want to turn at least 4 or 5 of these seats here.
Cole, did you get to hang out with the president too?
Oh, I sure wish.
Yeah,
you didn't get to go?
He wasn't invited.
I wasn't.
I think tickets are pretty expensive.
And how'd that feel? Like, it must have been amazing feeling. The president of the United States of America is like, oh yeah, Colonel Greg, yeah, I know you.
No, he's pretty cool. He's just easygoing. He just loves Americans. I mean, he loves the middle class, and I can't say how much he loves the military and what he's done for the military. If he gets his military bill, I believe it's through the House, and I think it's at the Senate now, gives them a pretty nice pay raise, which is good because you want to keep these guys. We're having trouble keeping pilots because now the airlines are losing a lot of my year group. Once you hit 65 and as a commercial pilot, you have to retire.
Okay.
And so what's happening, there's shortage of pilots, so they're offering bonuses to military pilots to stay in. I mean,
That's
pretty
awesome.
Significant bonuses.
Awesome.
If you're young out there, you want to be a fighter pilot, you could join the Marine Corps.
Did you hit him up for a campaign donation?
No.
Okay,
but he did say, and well, actually not himself, but Parscale, Brad said he has not given up on California. He will be out here after the primary, probably April, May timeframe, and help us, whoever, all 5 of us here in Orange County win the primaries.
Of the few hundred people watching now, if you guys did want to make a campaign donation, that was my segue.
Yes.
GregRaths.com.
GregRaths.com.
Here's the website. I'm going to show you guys.
Just $20 or something would be great.
It's 20 for 2020.
But
20 for 2020, or 45 for the 45th district, or the 45th president of the United States.
But wouldn't it be pretty awesome to see the president's name on your 460?
That'd be pretty cool. I think he's pretty busy right now. I think he just got impeached today. Is that so wrong or what? our president gets impeached, I am just blown away.
Yeah.
I did everything I was supposed to. I called all our congressmen. I said, don't do it. And they did. I'm just shocked.
I mean, I know some people may not like the president, but it doesn't matter who the sitting president is. When the president knows who you are, he says, oh, yeah, I heard about you. I know you. And I'm going to support your candidacy. That's got to be an amazing feeling.
He said whoever wins, he'll support. So don't put words in my mouth.
Okay.
Jeez almighty.
So another question was, I heard you worked for some other presidents, which you did cover.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, I thought it'd be really amazing to see someone that's experience level serving Congress. It should be pretty easy for you after working for the presidents.
No, I wouldn't say it's easy, but one thing I will do is do everything in my power to ensure that my job is to take care of the people of the 45th Congressional District here in South County. Okay. I will come back. You will talk to me. I will make myself accessible. I will answer my phones when I'm in the office. And if Cole's there working with me, he will open the door to let you in.
Okay.
It's so important to get into the district, talk to the people, and find out what's on their minds.
Okay, so we actually have a bunch of comments. As you know, this is a live stream town hall.
Okay.
So this is a good segue, because I have the other ones are the written questions I have for you.
Okay.
But we have a bunch of questions and we can go through them. Roxanne, let's see. We had a couple of negative ones. I'm not sure we'll talk about those, but you guys can see them. Roxanne
Vanderwerf.
She says, hi, Greg.
Yep. I went to high school with her husband, Eddie, and they're from Arizona. We played football at Borgate Catholic High School. That's where we went to school. So, hey, Roxanne, good to see you. And GregRaths.com. Tell Eddie.
Then Sean Gordon.
Help me out.
Sean Gordon says he wants you to drop out of the Central Committee race and just go straight for Congress.
We can do both.
Okay.
Can do both. There's like 14 people running Central Committee.
Yeah.
We're trying to clean up the Central Committee and not clean it up per se, but get it a little more, instead of establishment, more grassroots.
It's time for some new leadership.
Yeah, some new blood in the Central Committee, new people. So hopefully you can run for both.
Yeah, then there's a guy, I don't know who he is, Ben Chapman, if you heard of him.
I heard Ben. I went to his wedding.
He commented, coming in clear, Colonel Mark, or Colonel, or he said coming in clear.
Coming in clear.
Mike Posey says, love it, love you.
Who? Mike Posey?
Mike Posey.
Yes, he's running for supervisor.
Jennifer Cutt says, thank you for your service.
Jennifer, good to see you.
Robert Klink says, Semper Fi.
All right, Robert.
Roxanne says, watching from Tempe, Arizona.
We love Tempe. We love Arizona. You guys, I see you on Facebook, Roxanne, and you guys are everywhere and enjoying. Sounds like Eddie's retired now, and you guys are just having fun. So good on you.
So Michael Poppy McMahon says, watching from...
Michael McMahon.
Yeah, watching from Beaufort, South Carolina. Merry Christmas,
Hey,
Greg Raths.
Yes, I dated his older sister in high school, Kathy McMahon. So Michael actually joined the Army, and I joined the Marine Corps. He joins the Army, and he served his country. So,
awesome.
Hey, Michael.
So
Hope, and he had 9 brothers and sisters.
Okay.
There was 8 girls and 2 boys, and poor Michael and your other little brother.
Yeah, okay, let me get through these. We have the most comments we've ever had. Let's see.
All right.
So Steve Davis says, go Greg Raths, vote Greg Raths, volunteer to Greg Raths, donate to Greg Raths for Congress. I'm not sure that person
Has anybody
supports you or not.
donated yet?
Pardon?
Has anybody donated?
Not during the start of this live stream.
Well, last time there was $1,700 raised.
I saw that.
Or about 2,000, and overnight I heard there was some.
No, I'm just giving you a Now, obviously, you need to invest in me. That's the term. Invest in the candidate, Greg Raths. It's a great investment because I will go to Washington. I'll put on my scuba gear and jump into the swamp and work and clean it. And kind of like these guys that go in their boats and clean the boats. That'll be me in Washington, clean the swamp. I'm 66, so no one's going to buy me off. I don't want to do this for 30, 40 years. I'm going to go there and do my best to get the budget under control, take care of our military, ensure our borders are secure. National security is number 1.
Okay, so Javier Sanchez says, watching international, and there's a little typo, hope you have a great Christmas and Happy New Year, future Congressman.
Okay.
Audrey McKinley says, what is the best recovery for the country to regain calmness during this fiasco? How will you support your community during this?
Here's what we got. This is what we have to do. Okay. It's over. The votes have been made. The president was impeached on 2 bogus counts that aren't even crimes. It was, you keep hearing the word hoax, scam, whatever it is all political. They have not, ever since the 2016 election, they thought for sure Hillary Clinton was going to win. They thought for sure. They had everything set. She had her whole team ready to go, national security, obviously FBI. Everybody was helping her, as we're now starting to find out with all these investigations. And they're not over it. And they're doing everything to get this guy out of here. He's a businessman. He's a developer from New York. He's not supposed to be president. And they just can't live with it. So I can't believe they actually impeached him. I am just shocked, totally shocked. It's just wrong. So let's get through Christmas. He's got to probably go down to Mar-a-Lago with his family for Christmas. And, people make fun. I remember this when I worked at the White House. They go, oh, he's going on vacation. Well, it gives people time to relax at the White House, to go home to their families too. So he goes, so the people that work at the White House, the career bureaucrats, and obviously his staff, he'll just take a small staff with them to Mar-a-Lago. And it gives people time to spend time with their family. So they go, why is he going to Mar-a-Lago? Well, there's a reason, so the people at the White House can relax a little bit. So once the holidays are over, then the trial will begin. The managers will be assigned by the Speaker of the House. We'll go through that, and he will be acquitted, and then we'll get back to work. And I'm anxious to see the State of the Union. Can you believe the State of the Union, usually the end of January, with Nancy Pelosi right behind him? It's going to be interesting. So everything will be all right.
Okay. So moving on to the rest of the questions before we got a bunch of people commenting. And one of the things that I want to highlight about Greg is that he's so willing to be live and answer questions live.
I'm a live guy.
And also the environmental impact of this. We're taking cars off the road. We have already had 500 people watch us. Those 500 cars off the road. And
we're saving energy.
Yeah, well, I'll get into those other questions, but I just
unless they're in their car with their cell phone or something.
Okay. So Casey says, thank you for speaking up, Greg. And again, these aren't like pieces of paper written down, scripted. This is we're all live here.
We're live. Live at 5.
And I apologize if I mispronounce your name. John Dimitru says, supported his colleagues in cutting. Okay. You're not a fan. He's not a fan of you.
Supporting his colleagues in cutting public.
I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm not on Raths. It's all right.
It's fine.
My neighbor, my neighbor the other day, she goes, don't get mad, I'm going to put up a Katie Porter sign. I said, no, if that's what you want to vote for, that's fine. But I worked hard to change her
Can I interrupt
change your mind.
Yeah. You got a donation.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, Benjamin for $20.20 donation.
2020,
so,
Raths 2020.
I usually don't interrupt you, sir.
No.
But for a donation. So let's see if we can get to $100. We got $20 so far.
$20.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
Come on, you guys.
Finish your story. I'm sorry, sir.
So how many people are watching? Can we tell?
Yeah, we're a couple hundred right now.
Okay.
We've already had probably about 500 log in.
That's good.
This is probably the biggest.
All right, what else? Randy Blair. We love Randy Blair.
This is Greg Raths, a good man.
Yes, we used to ride motorcycles together. I had a bike I sold about 3-4 years ago. I had a Yamaha Raider, like 1800 cc, and baby could move.
Awesome.
And Randy, he went up to Sturgis with a couple of my neighbors, and I actually been to Sturgis, but I drove a car.
Awesome.
I ain't driving a motorcycle. So. But being a fighter pilot, you got the need for speed. But now I've slowed down. My life has slowed down.
You know what my son's name is, right?
Speed?
No, his name's Maverick.
Oh, is that right?
I was going to say Greg's the real life Top Gun.
Yeah, the movie's coming out this summer with Tom Cruise. It's supposed to be really cool.
My wife and I have another son will name him Goose.
No, I flew the F-4 Phantom for 12, 14 years, and then the F-18 Hornet. I flew 2 tours on the USS Midway, flying the F-4 Phantom. I did 4 tours over in Japan and Korea, and then I did a tour during Desert Storm, and I was based in Bahrain, which is in the Gulf, and then commanding officer on the USS Abraham Lincoln in 93. I commanded an F-18 squadron, and we entered the Persian Gulf War, and we provided air support over southern Iraq. And then when Black Hawk Down was shot down, we then went down to the coast of Somalia and provided close air support to our Army brothers that were shot down. So 3 combat operations. Most notable was Operation Desert Storm, 55 missions in that war, and then another 30 missions in 93.
Okay. Trish, I saw your question come across. We have a bunch of questions, and we're actually streaming on Republican Thinker page, which has a few 100,000 people.
All right. Hey, Lonnie Maxwell. There's Lonnie. I served in the Marine Corps with Lonnie.
Yeah,
Proud to have served under your command. You bet. Thanks, Lonnie. Pam Walters, man. Good to see you.
So I'll put the questions across the screen for the audience.
Let's look at Roxanne.
Okay.
Do you feel Russia? Yeah, they'll probably interfere. Not that we're angels either. We kind of keep an eye on these other countries' elections, but they'll probably have their bots out and try to help whoever the Democrats put in. Obviously, they don't like Trump because he has these massive sanctions on their country, and we're trying to clean up the mess after the last administration when Russia overtook Crimea and went into Georgia and pretty much had a free reign and everything. If you remember, President Obama whispers to the outgoing president that, hey, after this election, I'll have more flexibility. And what was that? More flexibility to leave you alone while you attack Crimea and everything else. So this president's been tough on Russia, so you can rest assured they'll do something to try to influence the election. And they're not the only country. Iran will be involved, and some of these Eastern European countries, if not even our own country. So
we had
that's my
so our donor.
That's my take on that.
Sorry to interrupt you. I just thought you might want to see
Roxanne?
That one. No, Benjamin Yu said challenge. He will personally match donations of $20.20 during this live stream.
All right. Thank you, Benjamin. Benjamin Yu's running for assembly in Orange County too, right? What district?
68th.
Okay, Assembly District 68. Good man. Served in the Army.
Yep.
A good patriot, and I wish him the best. Thanks, Benjamin.
We have another donation.
2020?
2020.
Awesome.
All right. I love it.
Who's it from?
Thank you very much, Audrey.
Thank you, Audrey. So Benjamin Yu, there you go.
All right. Thanks, Ben.
Okay, let me try to get to these
What else?
questions.
All right.
We got a ton of questions. I lost our place.
Okay, where's Jan? Go, Jan
got
Eisenbite.
it.
I know Jan. She's in Mission Viejo road, or the Chamber of Commerce.
So I'll put them across my screen. Greg Morgan says, when elected, will you wear a Catwoman suit to Congress on Halloween?
No, what they're talking about,
to be-
and this is not right.
Batman, not Batwoman.
And people have made fun. Our Congresswoman on Halloween wore a Batwoman outfit on the floor of Congress, the House of Representatives, and took an inquiry vote, impeachment inquiry vote. Now, if she was at a party at night, with her other Congress people, and you dress up as a party, that's cool, but not on the House floor, because it's very sacred. What I consider sacred after today, though, I don't know.
Okay.
But it's sacred ground. You don't mess on the House of the floor. It's, and when I worked at the White House, if you've ever been to the White House, been to the Oval Office, and that's just a pretty phenomenal office to work into or walk in, especially if the president's there. So I'll be very reverent. I'll always wear a coat and tie, just like President Reagan, and obviously President Trump always wears a coat and tie to work. And I won't show any disrespect in the halls of Congress. I'll always be very respectful when I work there and represent. I'll be representing you. I'll be your eyes and ears in Washington. I'll listen and I'll see what's going on. I'll report back to you. That's my job. It's very simple. I'll be a legislator, and my job is simple: maintain national security, and I'll work so hard to get the budget under control, because the way it's going, both parties are out of control spenders. We've raised more money, more tax dollars are ever coming into the federal coffers than ever before, but they're spending it faster than it's coming in, and that's just not satisfactory.
I just wanted to say that I would prefer to be fired before allowing Greg on the floor like that.
Yes.
Okay, let me go back to
No, I would never embarrass my staff.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
I would never embarrass my staff.
If you guys didn't know, here I'm just doing a screen share, so the audience are seeing the photos. You can see of
Yeah, I mean, she was just trying to be funny. It was Halloween, but it was a very, very important day when they're voting on the impeachment inquiry, and I wouldn't do it, but the gift that keeps on giving.
We have a question from Pamela Walters Mahan.
Yes.
Vote Greg Raths for 45th.
Pam Walters, man, she's a big supporter of mine.
He is the only veteran running.
I am a veteran, and that's very important, because here in the 45th District, there's 2 major military bases. El Toro was a master jet base. It's the home of the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing. It was shut down in 2000. And many of us such as myself, we stayed here and homesteaded here, and we now a member of the district. And also the other big base was a master helicopter base, Tustin, where you have those 2 huge hangars over. They're still there in Tustin, those big blimp hangars from World War II. And a lot of the sailors and Marines have stayed in the district. So we figured there's about 85 to 90,000 veterans in the 45th Congressional District. So my job, obviously, is to represent everybody, but specifically, I will ensure our veterans are taken care of. We do not have a veterans hospital in Orange County or a cemetery. Now, Riverside has a cemetery, LA, Long Beach has a hospital, San Diego, but my job is to get more medical care, federal dollars to help medical care here in Orange County for our veterans, because it's a huge number of veterans in the county. We got to go all the way up to Long Beach, or if we pass away, we got to go out to Riverside or down to San Diego. Yep. So I'm going to work really hard, because at the old base at El Toro, when we shut down El Toro, where I was based for years, when we shut it down, we were told they're going to set aside 150 acres for a veteran cemetery for us in Orange County to lay to rest. And it's in my will, if I die, I want to be buried at Arlington National Cemetery. But if our cemetery becomes a reality, and as your congressman, I will do everything in my power with federal dollars to get that cemetery built. It's been 20 years since the base shut down, and we still do not have a cemetery, because over in Irvine, they're arguing on where it's going to be. It's supposed to be at one place, and it was shut down, and it's voted out by the voters. Then it's by the Strawberry Fields. It was voted down. Now we moved it to where they're going to put a golf course. Now they're going to use a cemetery there.
I think it's fair to say that we just simply support the creation of a veteran cemetery. I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So we will get it done.
But
two out of the 3 of us here are veterans. We all support it.
But if you were at the last election, it says support veterans, vote no on whatever, Prop B or whatever. Yeah, no meant yes, and yes meant no. And my own daughter, who lives in Irvine, she didn't understand it correctly. And a lot of people were misled, and they voted no or yes, meaning the cemetery was shut down where they're supposed to have it.
Let me interrupt. We got another donation.
Oh.
I know that's bad news.
We have a few.
Can you read the names off?
Is that you, Roxanne?
Thank you very much to John Park.
We love John Park with the Greater Irvine.
And we got Ben Chapman.
Oh, Ben's been a big supporter
another
of mine.
2020. And then we got another donation from Michael McMahon.
Thank you.
Michael Mann.
And if you guys want to share the love, markforirvine.com. I'm also running for a much smaller race.
Oh, Michael McMahon. Yay, Michael from Buford. Thank you, Michael.
All right.
And Ben Chapman lives in Costa Mesa. He's running for city council. He's running for Central Committee, right?
Yep. So,
Ben, we're going to do everything in our power. Let us get through this primary. The primary, by the way, is March 3rd. So we're 70-some days out. But ballots, everyone gets a ballot in the mail this year. Ballots go out February 3rd, so they'll be hitting your mailboxes probably around the 4th or 5th of February. And there's 7 of us on the ballot for the 45th District. Obviously, the Democrat, Katie, and then there's 6 of us Republicans, and I ask for your vote. It's Greg Raths. My title will be Retired Marine Colonel. I did write a 250-word on the sample ballot that comes out, kind of tells you a little bit about me. But you go to my webpage, gregraths.com, and that thing's going to be smoking this weekend. We got some great additions coming to it. Is that right, Cole? You want to let our audience know?
We are kind of in a slight rebranding phase, and we're going to have a nice rejuvenated site that's
much more questions,
much more accurate of who Greg is and what he plans to do for the 45th District.
So,
okay.
Awesome. Okay, we got more questions. I'm trying to get through all these. Kristen says, thank you for taking care of our district and listening to our needs.
Thank you, Kristen.
And hold on. More positive
Michelle.
things. Michelle says it's on.
Michelle, thank you. Michelle and I served in the Marine Corps together. She and I, back in the 80s, were in BMFP3, which is a reconnaissance phantom squadron. And she lives out in 29 Palms. We touched base at a fundraiser. She came out. And thank you very much for all your support, Michelle.
Linda Farrell says, so proud of you.
Linda Farrell's my wife's sister from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So what was it today? 68 degrees. I'm not sure what it is out in Pittsburgh, but I bet you it's probably in the teens.
Okay.
We love Pittsburgh. My wife's from Pennsylvania. She went to the Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and she came out here to California to live, and that's where I met my wife here. Okay. What else we got?
Kristen says, thank you for taking care of Tustin.
You bet. We love We love Tustin, and we love the base. We love the Marines out there. We love great mayor, Mr. Puckett, who I think he just gave up the mayorship to you know who the new mayor is in Tustin? But Chuck Puckett, outstanding American, and did a great job as mayor of Tustin. And all 10 cities, except for, I don't know about Laguna Woods, are all run by Republican mayors. And their city council's Republican. Christina Shea is the mayor of Irvine.
I sit on her advisory committee.
Yes, and you work on for Board of Supervisors too, right?
I'm a county commissioner as well.
He's
for
county
waste management,
for
which
waste.
I really want to go later on in the broadcast. We'll talk about some clean air and water issues that I'm covering. But
and I'm here. You're running for something. We want to talk about that, or we want to wait?
Yes, I'm running for Irvine School Board, and I'll give you my
School.
spiel. My background is 20 years U.S. Army, military police, captain, commander, anti-terrorism officer, and security advisor in the Pacific region.
Wow.
But most importantly, I'm a father of 2 children that attend Irvine schools. Been a PTA vice president, ran for school board, city council, etc. But let's go on to your questions. Sonia Morphy says, we are proud to have an amazing leader who will be representing our Latino community in the White House.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, the Latino community has been pretty awesome. There's a Hispanics for Raths 2020 group run by several of the Hispanic Latinos here in the county, especially South County. They've been very helpful. They threw me a fundraiser. I go to the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce whenever they're down here in Orange County. Could go to their events. And thank you, Sonia and Norma and Adriana and Sophia and all the ladies are just been and Richard Mendoza, he's been a big supporter of mine. Threw us a big fundraiser. What was that, September? Yeah. So we're on all cylinders going into the final stretch here.
Okay. No, one of your personal text messages came across my screen. Cool. That's all.
Yeah, watch it.
Oh, so Jan
Eisenbeit.
He says we appreciate you, Greg.
Jan Eisenbeit. She's as a naturopathic position where she works here in Orange County, and she helped my daughters with some natural medicine to help them out with some issues. And she's just been an amazing member of our Chamber of Commerce here in Mission Viejo.
Okay. So we got more comments. Nina says, Greg Raths for Congress.
Nina who?
Nina Lee Corman.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you very much.
Kristen Sands says, clean the swamp.
Clean the swamp.
John again says,
any questions?
Will you fight for what's right? Okay, here's the one. Will you fight for what's right, or just go along to get along?
I never go along to get along, if you know me. All my life, I fight what's right. I will, trust me, I will do what it takes to get things done in Washington. I will not go along to get along. I'm not some young punk who wants to be there 50 years. I've had a life. I have a lifetime experience. I got military experience, retired at the rank of colonel. I have command and leadership experience in the military, combat experience. I ran a company as a president of a company here in Anaheim, and now I have experience as a elected official in my second term on city council, currently the mayor of Mission Viejo. So I got political experience, business experience, military experience. Plus I have 66 years of life experiences. I've learned a lot. I made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm ready to rock and roll and get to Washington and do what's best for the constituents.
Okay.
We got another donation from Trish from Irvine. So thank you very much, Trish.
Trish, thank you. Thank you very much.
Get some sound effects for her. Okay, so David has a comment. David Legness. When you worked at the White House during the Clinton impeachment, what was the vibe around town?
It wasn't good. Just like what's going on now, it's the same thing. And it took about 20 years to kind of move on, and now we're doing it all over again. Obviously, with the whole Ken Starr Whitewater investigation was going on. But once the Linda Tripp issue came up, and then the blue dress, and he admits it. It was pretty sad. In fact, I came home from work one night, and I told Lucy, I said, tomorrow Al Gore is going to be president. I think we were told to ensure the Gore team was up and ready to go on the military side of the fence, not the other side. And then he decided, the president talked to the political leaders, and he figured he could ride it out and win in the Senate, which he did. He won 45 to 55, so it wasn't even close. And that's going to be very similar for Trump. So it was just disruptive. It was a little embarrassing working there with the whole, Monica Lewinsky thing. And, it just took so much away, so much oxygen out of the air at the White House. And I'm sure that's happening right now. He's going to blow it off. He's going to say, it's a hoax and everything else. But deep down, he's a good man, and it's going to affect him. It's going to affect his family and his wife and his sons and daughters. And, it's not good. But the country will get through it. We've been through a lot, and the country will get through it. Luckily, the economy's booming. Mission Viejo, I'm a real strict fiscal conservative. We just had a $6 million surplus, and we brought in $4 million more than we expected through tax revenue, but we spent $2 million less than our budget said. Who spends less than the budget? Not very many municipalities or states or counties or countries. So I know how to. I'm a strong conservative, and I will not spend your money needlessly on how fleas fly around or how they mate or things like that. That's just not going to happen. I'm not going to vote for it, at least.
What really bugs me about this whole impeachment thing is that we have Hong Kong. There's the USMCA that's sitting on the table, not getting done.
Right.
Mm-hmm. There's Iraq that's about to get potentially invaded by Iran.
Yeah.
There's all these different world problems. There's China, and instead of focusing on things they could potentially go wrong.
Well, that's the thing. People are working on that, but one ear is listening to see if their president's going to be around next week. Or am I going to work for Al Gore? Am I going to work for Bill Clinton? Or am I going to work for Mike Pence? Or am I going to work for Donald Trump? So it just puts doubt into people's minds. And like you said, here Kushner, his son-in-law, the president's son-in-law, is working real hard for peace in the Middle East. He's working with the Israelis. He's working with the Palestinians. He's working with the Arab countries in the area.
Saudi Arabia.
He's working with Jordan to try to find some lasting peace in the area. But with this hanging out, it's not good. My friend, who's in my Rotary Club, lives in the Netherlands, but he comes here about 4 months out of the year. He's actually a Netherlands citizen. He's Dutch. And they say, what the hell's going on in America? Your economy's booming. Unemployment's low. You're taking all these jobs away from Europe, and all we hear is about how the press and how the Democrats hate Trump. And he tries to explain to them, but obviously you get CNN International over there, so you get all this skewed news, on CNN International. And you sit at these international airports, all you get is CNN. So
because nobody else watches CNN. So
I think when Trump gets out, he'll start his own TV station and have all his own people, because Bloomberg's doing it now.
He should call it TNN.
What's that? Trump News Network? Trump News Network, because the press is I've never seen it this bad. They don't even pretend anymore. CNN, MSNBC, they don't even pretend anymore. They just got 6 people that just hate Trump. And if you watch that, if you're a Democrat, obviously you think he's a crook and you want him out. But, if you try to get to go both sides, you go to One America News or you go to Fox in the evening, you can get a whole different perspective. So I try to watch. But today the congressmen were coming up, and the Democrats were just. I have to mute it. I just couldn't hear it. And then the Republicans come, and I'm cheering, and then the Democrats, I mute it. It was. I just don't like him talking about our president that way. That he's a crook. That he's an agent of Russia. That he he doesn't need to beat Biden by paying off the Ukrainians. He could beat Biden with one hand behind his back. The last thing he was talking about when he's talking on the phone was to get Biden out of the race. He has no trouble beating Biden. Biden won't even be I can't see him ever being the nominee. And I don't know who they're going to come up with.
He said some strange stuff. Anyway, I don't want to waste time.
No,
You know, whenever the Democrats lose, it seems like they always blame the Russian bots.
Right. So Russia's. That's another thing. Since this whole Russia thing, he can't work with the Russians because if he talks to the Russians, he's talking to Russia. Or if Russia comes here, Putin's in his office. So that whole relationship is strained, and when he should really be trying to figure out how we can get Crimea back and some of these other areas. So what else we got? I'm going to answer some questions. There got to be some questions.
We got a bunch of comments. Let me try to blow through
Not
these.
Comments, questions. Let's
Audrey says, more people need to stand up for righteousness. Okay, we'll skip to the questions.
No, that's a good one. We
Okay.
love Audrey McKinney.
Audrey, she just donated too, so thank you.
Thank
Greg.
you, Audrey.
She says, thank you for your integrity and transparency.
She's a sweetie.
Um,
John. I will vote Republican. Not voting for Porter and Raths knows what I am talking about. He supported his colleague in cutting public service.
You already answered this question. Yeah.
I don't remember that. I cut public service.
Okay, well maybe he'll elaborate. It's very vague.
Wait. He knows that I'm talking about. He supported his colleague in cutting public safety in Orange County. I never cut public safety. Mission Viejo. When I was mayor this year, 2019, crime went down 27%. That's significant. I mean, we have a well-defined police force in Mission Viejo, Orange County Sheriff, so we have a contract with them, and we have an amazing lieutenant who responds on a moment's notice. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. Public safety is as good as it's ever been here in Mission Viejo, and we do have one officer. Her job is to ensure if we find homeless, if we find any people squatting around, we pick them up. We take care of them. We work with Mercy House. There's several homes in the area where we get the homeless. You don't find homeless in Mission Viejo, trust me. And we're working on this petty crime thing because that's an issue. Because in California, you can steal up to $950. You can walk in and it's only a misdemeanor. So a lot of the times the hands are tied of our police force. I mean, they know exactly to steal $949 worth of stuff. So. We're working really hard with that, and I work with the state legislature to try to turn around that proposition that was passed a few years ago.
Okay, another question. Trish Harrison, how can we keep the Democrats from ballot harvesting? I believe they stole the election with Katie Porter. Should the Republicans ballot harvest?
Yeah, we'll ballot harvest. Ballot harvest is legal. The Democrats put it in a couple of years ago. They slipped it in, and we were caught unaware in 2018 what ballot harvesting was. So the Democrats were out there harvesting ballots. Harvesting means you could go to all your neighbors and your friends and say, give me your ballots, I'll turn them in for you. That's what it means. You harvest ballots. It's legal to pick up people's ballots, take them into the Orange County office of the registrar and drop them off. We're a little concerned that there might have been some hanky-panky as they harvested their ballots. What did they really do with the ballots? Did they turn all the ballots in? Did they just turn in the Democratic ballots? Because our Congresswoman at the time, Mimi Walters, on election night, she was up by 10,000 votes. And usually that stays throughout as they finish counting all the absentees and the provisional ballots. But what happened, she went from up by 10,000 to lose by 10,000 a week later. That is unheard of. So something went wrong. We believe, and I can't prove it, that when they harvested ballots, not all the ballots were turned in for who had Republican names on it, because all the Democrats were turned in. I can't prove it. I'm not making that accusation, but that's just my feeling. So what we're going to do as Republicans, we're setting up captains in the neighborhoods. And 2 weeks before the election, we're going to go and say, hey, we go to all the Republicans and say, have you turned in your ballots? If not, I'll pick it up. And they go, no, usually Republicans don't want to be harvested. They don't trust that you're going to turn it in. But we're trying to get a good feel of the people. We'll go a day before the election, the day of the election. If you haven't turned in your ballot, I'm heading down there now. And the captains will get to know these people a month, 6 weeks out, pick up their ballots, take them in to the Orange County office, which is wrong. I think everyone should take their own ballot or mail their own ballot. But the Democrats passed this. And another thing that's different this year, there's no precinct voting. everything's by mail this year. All 100% of your votes are by mail. So you fill out the mail, you sign it, and you mail it in, or you hand deliver it to a voting center. And I think in our districts, there are going to be 3 voting centers in our district, and no more precinct. They said it's going to save money. You don't have to pay the precinct workers, but I think it's some more hanky-panky.
Okay, so you won John over. So the one that was questioning about the safety, he says, so I guess if he makes out the primary, I'll vote for him. So you won him over. You got him to vote for you.
Let's get through the primary, and then we'll work on the general, John.
Thanks, John.
The person that just had said a negative comment, you won him over.
Yeah. Okay, what else we got here? Julie Phillips, what did she say?
Here, I'll put it on the big screen.
And I just want to say something for the people that are watching. If you disagree with Greg, I'd love to hear some of the things that you obviously if it's you keep it PG. But if you have some serious concerns, we'd love to hear those as well.
Yeah,
because
do you guys have a phone number like you could post or an email?
Yeah, and as your legislator.
If you want to email me, it's ggraths@gmail.com, ggraths@gmail.com. If you want to donate, you can go to gregraths.com and hit the donate button. But let's look at what Julie says here. Julie saw you as a keynote speaker at El Toro Memorial Park. I was really impressed and would like to thank you and your family for your service to our. Thank you, Julie. Like I said earlier, if you got here late, I served my country my whole life. I've served my community as a Cub Scout, Boy Scout. Served in high school. I went to Catholic high school, class president, went to Arizona State University. 30 years active duty in the Marine Corps, now 5 years on city council. So I've served my whole life, and you don't get rich that way, but you feel good about yourself. But I have a wonderful, wonderful family, 3 very successful children. My twin daughters are school teachers in the Irvine Unified School District, and my son just finished his 20th year in the Marine Corps and now working for a private company based out of South Carolina, but he lives here in San Juan Capistrano.
So Jason Potter says, one of your former Marines, says, proud to have served under your command, sir. You'd get my vote if I wasn't up here in Canada.
Well, I can fly you down, Jason. See what I can do. I got love to have you live in my district. But one thing about Marines, I'm finding that when I got into politics in the Marine Corps, you get this brotherhood and sisterhood of family, and everyone has your back, and no one's going to throw a knife in your back. When you get into politics, it's a little bit different. So you have to have thicker skin, and I've told Cole this when I was a squadron commander and I took my squadron into combat. I just didn't take my Republican Marines. I took all my Marines. I didn't even know what their political affiliations were, and what we did was we won as a team. We went into combat as a team. Desert Storm, the air war was 40 some days. And then the ground war was 3 days. It was over, and we won as an amazing team. We didn't say, okay, let's go Republicans or let's go Independents. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try to do in Washington, is to work with everybody. It'll be hard with some of these guys, like the lady up in L.A., Maxine Waters, is on page 45 and page 45. She finally got in page 45. Yeah. She finally did it.
By the way, if you were wondering, Katie Porter votes with Maxine Waters 96% of the time.
Yeah, I don't want L.A. politics down in Orange County.
Just had to use that.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it.
Was it don't L.A. my O.C.?
Hey, don't L.A. my O.C.
Don't L.A. my O.C. We want Orange County clean, no homeless. We do have shelters, and I believe Santa Ana's putting one up in Anaheim. So we're working it, but Mission Viejo, South County, Lake Forest is doing great. RSM, Rancho Santa Margarita, obviously Laguna Woods, Laguna Hills, some really, really good cities along with Irvine and Villa Park.
So another military here. Janet Feldman says, active Army here. Mission Viejo sounds like they are in good hands. If your officers are interested in Stop the Bleed training, please reach out.
Yes. In fact, Stop the Bleed training, I went to Mission Hospital along with Dave Leckness, who's one of our commissioners, former mayor, and we went through that program, how to stop the bleeding with the pressure and the tourniquet. And we were at the trauma center. Mission Viejo has a trauma center here in South County. It used to be San Clemente, but they shut that hospital down. We're trying to get that reopened.
So also another comment from Ben. Again, he's going to match his first $20 donations during this live stream. So if you guys want to.
So he's matching every $20 donation?
So if I'll just announce whenever somebody gives us a donation of 2020.
So was it you're gonna kick in another 2020?
He said for every donation, he's gonna match the first $20.
So can we go $2,200?
Oh, So all right, well,
kidding.
I got a few for him.
All right. Any other questions? Come on, ask me some hard questions. Immigration, healthcare.
There's a bunch.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Then
National security, the budget, health, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the VA system.
Michelle again voicing her support for you. Speaking of Altera, fellow Marines, VMFP3,
Marine Fighter Tactical Squadron 3.
Awesome.
All right, let's get any questions. Here's
Okay.
Craig Chapman, Mayor. Where do you stand on religious freedom for those of us who preach from the pulpit? Oh, yeah. Craig Chapman is a bishop, I believe.
Of course, we support the First Amendment.
Yes. I think there was the Johnson Act where you're not allowed to talk politics in the pulpit, but I think that was voted down just recently.
I don't know.
Yeah, the Johnson Act was voted down, so you can talk politics, and that's a good place to ballot harvest now is in our churches. Talk to your congregation, get to know your people, and let them know, hey, if you don't want to go turn in your ballots, drop it off here at the church, and Pastor John or Bishop Craig will take it in for you. It's all legal now in California, so that's a good way we can harvest. Make sure that our congregation is turning in their ballots.
I was going to say it's really important that we get the churches involved because I always say that culture is downstream from religion, and then politics is the one that's next.
Okay.
So,
Democrat, Republican, Independent. Here's the thing: South County, 45th district is 37% Republican, 34% Democrat, and the rest, 30 plus, is Independent or no party preference. So I can get every Republican to vote for me. I'm still not going to win. So I got to work, obviously, chip away at a few Democrats and then work with the no party preference. And I've been knocking on doors for the last 2 months, and it's pretty interesting. The parents are usually say they're both Republicans, and the two kids that are over 18 are no party preference. They're not picking parties. Like when I was young, if my parents were a Democrat, I would be a Democrat. That's just the way it was. You did what your parents said, and then maybe later in life you learn, hey, Democrats aren't hacking it, so I switch Republican or something. But what I'm seeing now is these kids are not picking a party, which is fine,
Okay. Also, a few last questions public comments before we go to other questions.
Carolyn Knutson.
She says, "You're the best, Greg. We need to clean this mess up."
Carolyn, her husband and I flew combat together in Desert Storm, and he got shot with a surface-to-air missile. I remember that day, and he was an F-18. One of his engines was shot pretty bad, and he brought it all the way back to Bahrain, which is like 280 miles from Kuwait, where he was hit. And did a fantastic job. His wingman was hit too, and they both brought their airplanes back and changed out the engines. And I think they're flying within a week. But he was a squadron commander like myself. He was Boomer, and we all meet, us Marines. There's about 30 of us, but on any given Saturday when we decide to meet for coffee at Starbucks, there's about 8 of us, and we still tell war stories and living the life again. And all my group are turning over 65, so most of them are airline pilots, all retiring. They're forced retired at 65.
Okay.
All right.
So the next comment is a shameless plug right there. If you guys want more content, markforirvine.com. I am running for school board. I just wanted to put that up there.
Who's Mark Nugent?
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
It's a Mark for Irvine, FOR. Okay. So
Here's Anthony Ramirez.
we got a
Hashtag snake. You have like Maverick and Goose. I was the snake, Boomer, Scorch. That's where snake comes from.
Okay.
Snake break left. And there's a story behind that where I was kind of rough in the airplane, and my CO thought I had snakes all over the cockpit. So he called me Snake.
Can I handle this one? Luke Costa is asking, what is your position on our environment? Because I'm a
Luke,
in my professional commission.
No, I'm glad someone asked about the environment. I'm for clean air, clean water.
Okay.
All right. I sit on the Environmental and Energy Commission committee for the Southern California Associations of Governments. I'm not a climate scientist or anything like that, but I got solar panels on my roof. I got double pane windows all around. I have artificial grass to save water. I have an electric scooter. I have a hybrid engine in my truck, and I have a low flow pump on my pool pump. So I'm doing as much as I can. And there's supposed to be some special paint you can put on your house.
I have a bit for you too that I wanted to bring attention to.
But I'm for clean air, clean ocean. I remember the old days on carriers in the 70s. You throw stuff overboard and bury it on the bottom of the ocean. That's stopped, and which is great. Okay. Everything has to be brought back and then recycled or disposed properly. Okay. So clean up the ocean's a big one. Keep the oceans clean, and there's a bunch of groups, nonprofits that are working so hard to clean up the beaches and everything else, especially here in California. I know the coastlines in Florida, they're working on that too.
I got something I want to read for you.
I'm talking about the environment.
I am talking about the environment.
And I'm a Republican.
Yeah, I would like to highlight the fact that your campaign is greener than your opponent's campaign. I think we both agree we want clean air and water.
Right.
Talk is cheap, but actions are louder than words. The other day, your opponent is using social media to announce multiple in-person town halls. You know, the old style where people have to drive, sit there, wait for hours, and hope their question is answered. I sent her, actually even invited her to do a live stream. I sent her a message that's ignored, that she should consider using free live stream technology to do this sort of town hall like we're doing right now that already has 1,000 people watching. Not only does it save the environment, taking cars off the road, reduces traffic, also disabled people who have trouble traveling can sit at home and engage with their future congressman.
I like it. Plus, you got the questions right in front of you.
Yeah.
And they can see it too, right?
Yeah, they can see this. This is their screen. This is what they see right here.
They see it too. Yeah. So I'm not dodging any questions. So if you got some hard ones, I'll try to dodge them. No, I'm just kidding.
We got
No, but I'm not this crazy. The Earth is going to die in 10 years type of environmentalist. I'm a practical guy.
He's a conservationist.
A conservation. That's good. But I always tell this guy this story.
Someone just donated to my campaign. Thank you. Who donated to mine? I just got an email.
Here's the thing: the Earth is going.
Thank you, John.
63,000 miles an hour around the sun, and it's on its axis going 2,000 miles an hour. So you're going through space at this enormous amount of speed, and we're worried about cows farting. Come on now, it's getting a little crazy. So let's just do what we can. But here's the issue. You got to look at China. You got to look at India. Those are the biggest polluters in the world. We can do everything we can, which is great for our own water and for our own air and for our own beaches and all. But you got to work with these other countries such as China and India and get their acts together.
Can I tell you something I think is really interesting is that the United States was the country to pull out of the Paris Accords, but we were also the only country to reduce our carbon emissions.
Yeah. Well, that whole Paris Accord, it was a hoax, too. We were supposed to put in like $4 trillion in the next 16 years, and it was just going to be used for bureaucrats. Here's another thing. Let me talk about this real quick, about the budget. And I'm going to be really cautious on this when I'm a legislator. When you pass a law that establishes a bureaucracy, say the energy department, you got to hire all these bureaucrats, and they all get paid, they all get health care, they all get pensions. So 80% goes to the people just to handle that. And then the only 20% actually goes out to, say, the education department or housing and urban development. So this huge bureaucracy in Washington absorbs so much of our money. None of it, or very little of it, actually goes out to the programs that are supposed to help. And I believe the education, if you want to talk education, should be handled by the states. I would want to get rid of the Department of Education. It's a huge bureaucracy out in Washington. They come up with Common Core and all these federal programs that aren't necessary. The states are quite capable of handling education. If they're not, they're going to fire the people on the school boards, such as this guy's going after a couple people on the school boards. So let the states handle it. If money comes into the federal government, you need one person to write a block grant every year to 50 states, period. You're going to save tons and tons of money. And at the Pentagon, I know where all the waste is at the Pentagon. Trust me. There's a lot of waste. And yes, the president brags about this huge defense bill, which is great. A lot of it is obviously, majority of it's going for a good cause, but there's a lot of waste too. And I would really love to be on the House Armed Forces Committee or the VA.
Okay. Do you know of any other candidates that have any experience working with the presidents?
That running against me?
Yeah, and any of them. Because I know Katie Porter said she's never even met the president.
No.
And is there any other candidates at all in our 45th that have any experience?
I was in Washington last week. I took the red eye. I did a show on the Blaze. Eric Bowling had me do a show, and I talked to a couple of the groups out there, the Right to Life people. I talked to some of the other people in Washington trying to help me get elected. And
Okay.
and there's a club near the Capitol. The Capitol Hill Club is called, where the Republicans go. I got to meet a lot of the congressmen, and a good friend of mine is a congressman from Michigan. He's a retired 3-star Marine Corps general. He retired. I was his chief of staff when he had the 4th Marine Air Wing. I was chief of staff of 4th Marine Air Wing. He came out last weekend and helped me campaign, and we knocked on doors together. And we went to this one house with the Marine Corps flag and American flag, and we knocked on the door. We got talking to the guy, and he was like a corporal. Did like 4 years, and we go, well, you got a 3-star general, sitting U.S. Congressman Jack Bergman, and you got a colonel who's trying to pick up a seat, and current mayor of a city, and he was impressed. We did get his vote. I think we owe him a 6-pack of beer, though. I think so.
So is it fair to say that you're the only candidate that actually has experience working in the White House?
Oh, yeah. I got executive experience, and I understand how Washington works. Trust me. When I go there, I know where to live. I know how to work it. I understand the program. I understand the executive branch. I understand the Pentagon. I understand the Congress. What I don't, I did never really work much with the Supreme Court or the judicial side. So if I lack anywhere, that's probably where I lack.
Okay.
But that's more of the Senate handles all the judges, and they vote on the judges. And apparently 162 judges have been brought in. And I'll tell you another reason why the Democrats are worried, because 3 words: Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They figure she's going to die of pancreatic cancer, and then President Trump's going to put in another Supreme Court justice, and that locks up the Supreme Court for the next 30 years.
Oh, wow. Man, that experience working at presidential level, combined with your 30 years of military experience as an officer, must have given you a priceless education experience in foreign policy. Can you tell us about that in terms that civilians and myself can understand? Because we find it fascinating. I think I find it fascinating you actually work there.
Well, I've been all over the world. I've been to 63 countries. I've been to every continent but both the polar caps, or the Antarctica and Arctic. Been all over the world, the Orient, Australia, you name it. When I worked at the White House, I traveled with the president on all overseas trips, at least my 2nd and 3rd year. The 1st year I did not. I did mostly local trips. So I had a chance to go to Israel, meet with, then it was Prime Minister Netanyahu in 98, and we met with Chairman Arafat of the PLO, working peace really hard. And that's another problem during the whole impeachment. The president was working peace with Israel and the Palestinians. We went to Israel. We had Camp David peace talks, and then also we were in Maryland. Three amazing talks, and because of the whole impeachment thing, that didn't happen. And now we're going to see the same thing going on right now. So I've been around the world. I've met kings and queens and princesses and you name it. But so I understand international politics. I understand national politics.
Are you going to be traveling as a congressman? Is that part of the duties?
They have these CODELs, they call it, congressional delegations. They go different places. If it's a boondoggle, I'm not going to go. Okay. I'm not going to waste your tax dollars. If it's a boondoggle, if it's a serious trip where I need to go, obviously I'll go and see what's going on, but I'm not going to waste your tax dollars. When I travel to Washington, I'm going to travel coach. I'm 6'4", the knees are going to be up into my eyes, and I'll fly red eyes, but you're not going to find me in first class. If you do find me in first class, I'm paying for my own trip, but I will not have the taxpayers.
Someone I know from Hawaii, Tulsi, you ever heard of Tulsi Gabbard? Yeah, she served me over there. She actually went to Afghanistan as a congressman or Iraq. Is that something?
Yeah, you can do that. They have these congressional delegations. Remember, Hillary Clinton says she was running from gunfire and everything when she was up in the war up there, but that was all BS. So,
speaking of
Kosovo, she says she was in Kosovo or something.
Speaking of, I was there too. Speaking of combat veterans, can you tell us about this photo with General Mattis that you have right there? And the audience is looking at my screen right now.
Actually, the general, he led the charge into Afghanistan right after 9/11. He was I think he was a 2-star general at the time.
Tell us about that photo.
Yeah, I'll tell you about the photo, but I'm going to go back a little bit.
I apologize.
And he was looking for a chief of staff to go over there. So I went and interviewed with him, and he's crazy, man. Mad dog, they call him. But he had already selected another colonel to be his chief of staff to go to the invasion of Iraq. This was taken Actually, before he was defense secretary, this was at the Dixon Library. He was there as a guest speaker, so that's where I met him in that picture.
Okay.
And since he was defense secretary, now he's been out of defense, and now he wrote a book called Chaos.
Yep. And the other photo, that was just the other day, right? That one?
That was me in 1975 as a second lieutenant at Quantico, Virginia. I was going through the basic school, a brand new butter bar, they called it. A second lieutenant is a butter bar, and going through 6 months of basic school, how to be an officer, and then I went off to Pensacola, Florida to fly jets.
Awesome. Okay. So I have more questions.
Anybody still watching?
Oh, yeah, we still got a few hundred people watching us. This is the most ever, actually. So
Thank you.
I guess that's some poll numbers right there. I guarantee over 1,000 people already watched us. After your White House assignment, how much longer did you stay in the military?
I left the White House in 99, and then I served as a group commander, Marine Air Group 46 at MCS, Marine Corps Air Base Miramar. I commanded an air group, and it was a composite group. So we had jet fighters, we had F-5s and F-18s, and we had all the Marine Corps helicopters. We had 4 squadrons, CH-53s, 46, the Huey, and the Cobra. So I was able to fly all of these aircraft, which was really cool. So that was 2001. And in 2002, I became Chief of Staff of the 4th Marine Aircraft Wing, which was based in New Orleans. And then at the time, the commanding general is a 1-star, sometimes a 2-star general. He got pulled and was sent to Riyadh, so I got to command the air wing for 6 months, which the first colonel in 51 years to command a Marine Corps air wing.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Speaking of airplanes.
Then I got to fly the C-130 too then.
Speaking of airplanes, they're looking at this photo right here on the screen.
That's an F-18 Hornet.
That's my question. I was going to tell us about that airplane.
That was taken 1999, 2000 when I was a group commander in Miramar. And as a squadron commander, they put your name on the airplane, and it's an amazing aircraft, the F-18, and this new airplane, the F-35, is just supposed to be phenomenal. I think it's way too expensive, though. I would never have voted for it as a congressman. I would have voted for the Super Hornet, the F-18E and F. I think the Joint Strike Fighter F-35 Lightning is like $140 million a piece or something. That's just ridiculous. I think it's going to be, and in my opinion, I believe it's going to be the last manned fighter ever built. I think we're going to go to drones, and we're going to go to unmanned airplanes.
Okay. So I have some more questions about the White House.
Which is pretty cool because my dad and myself and my son all got to fly in this period of time when we had manned aircraft.
Okay, so I have some other questions for you. So what did you do right to get selected to work directly for a president? It sounds like you really understood how government works. For me, I was in the Army for 20 years. I know it's extremely rare to hear someone gets a White House assignment. Like, I don't think I've ever met anybody that got one of those. Can you tell us about your road to the White House and your assignment? How did you get assigned to the White House as a United States Marine Corps colonel?
Well, after I was a squadron commander in 1995, 94, I gave up my squadron, which was the Black Knights, VMFA 314 at Marine Corps Air Base El Toro. And actually, if you saw the movie Independence Day with Will Smith, that was my squadron. He was Marine 1, or Black Knight 1. I was Black Knight 1. But they send you, once you're on the track to becoming a more senior officer, a colonel, or a general, they send you to top-level school to get a master's degree. So I was sent to Fort McNair in Washington, D.C. in 1995 to pick up a master's degree in military strategy and military logistics. So when I finished and got my master's in 96, the Pentagon called me over, and you usually have to serve 3 years in the Washington, D.C. area. It's called a payback tour for getting your master's before they send you back to flying. And the monitor was a friend of mine who actually I flew with in combat during Desert Storm, and he's got me this job at the Pentagon. And then within 2 weeks before I got to the Pentagon, he says, hey, they're interviewing for this job at the White House. We need 2 Marines to go over there, and total of 8, 2 from each branch of the service interviewed. And they called me back for a second interview. And the political appointee at the time was a retired Marine colonel, and I didn't know him specifically, but he knew, being a Marine, that he trusted me, that I could do my job, and he didn't have to worry about it. So he selected me for that position, and it was a 3-year tour. The chief of staff at the time was an Air Force colonel. I was a Marine lieutenant colonel. when I picked up colonel and that colonel left, and there was an opening, I took over as chief of staff for a short time before I got orders. I got orders then to Miramar, San Diego, after a 3-year tour to take over an air group. And that's when I took over the air group in 1999.
So my brother and I were talking about you. He's he's a West Point graduate. He's also an Army captain. He served only, I think, 4 to 6 years, something like that. But he wanted me to ask you, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to ask because it might be classified. Did you ever carry the football?
No, but the 5 people that carried a football were all majors, one from each service, including the Coast Guard. They actually worked for me.
Can we talk about what that is?
Yeah, the football is the nuclear codes. If there's the president wants to launch nuclear missiles to wherever, or there's inbound missiles coming, he wants to retaliate, the military officer is within minutes of the president. They'll spend the night at the White House. There's a place in the basement. They stay. And if there's inbounds, he takes the codes up to the president. They change on a I wouldn't say daily. I'm not sure exactly, and I don't want to give anything away. But they change the codes quite often, and the president puts his key in, and the other keys they got to match and everything, and then they can launch a nuclear strike. So it's called the nuclear football. So whenever you see the president get off the plane, Air Force One, you always see a military officer with them, and he's carrying a pretty significant sized briefcase. And he's always in the motorcade, probably the car behind the president. He's in the same hotel. If he's in Mar-a-Lago, obviously the military aide will be down there, and they rotate every day. So they have 5 days. One day they're on 24 hours. It'll be the Army, and these are officers that to work at the White House, you go through I'd say 5 months of security clearance. And I had to wait before I got all secure. They go through your background. They check your neighbors. They check your finances. They check your brothers and sisters. They check everything.
So you mentioned that I just Googled it real quick, nuclear football. So we're looking at photos now.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, that's the football.
That's a football.
That's awesome.
So it's pretty cool, but I lost my train of thought.
But the nuclear football, it's pretty cool?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I got more questions. Sorry to distract you.
What was I saying? All right.
Sorry. For those of you who aren't watching us, his wife is on the other side of the camera waving. So, hi, Lucy.
Say hi to Lucy.
First lady of Mission Viejo for the next.
Thanks for answering that. My brother, he thought it was, he said he read somewhere
days.
it was always an Army colonel or something.
No, it's a lieutenant colonel.
A lieutenant colonel?
Or a major.
Okay.
Usually a major, and sometimes they get promoted while they're on duty. But it's 3 years. No, I think it's 2 years and out. You do it for 2 years because they rotate every 5 days. They rotate 2 years and out. One thing we don't want is people just get heady and they want to stay there at the White House because it's a pretty heady job. You got to get in and out. And that's one reason I got the job, because I told the person I interviewed with, I said, I want to do my 3 years and I want to get back flying airplanes. And when he heard that, because a lot of people, they don't want to leave because of the significance of the job. Okay. So, my 3 years up, I was gone, and I wanted to get back flying airplanes again, which I did. I'm flying. I'm an air group commander. Yeah. I'm having fun. So,
yeah, I remember.
Any questions? Let's go.
Oh, we got more comments. Okay, we have multiple screens, so they're not always popping up. So you guys keep commenting. Michelle Gall, one of your former soldiers, she says you should mention how many people you commanded in different units for the non-military viewers. And I'd like to answer that for the Army side if you want to cover the Marines.
I'll cover the Marines. Okay. When I was a wing commander, probably about 12,000 active duty or reserve military officers or Marines and Navy. When I was a group commander, probably 2,000-3,000. And then as a squadron commander, about 300.
So squadron commander is the lieutenant colonel level?
Yeah, lieutenant colonel, you command a squadron, 12 airplanes, and about 200-300 maintenance personnel, admin personnel. An air group, you have 8 squadrons, so you got 8 squadrons. As a wing, you have 5 groups, so it just gets more and more responsibility. So, but what I found is surround yourself with staff that knows what they're doing. Okay. If you have a great staff, they can make you look very good. Yeah. Someone who can write very well. And that's why I got Cole here, and I got a great staff running, helping my campaign, because these guys are top notch, and we're charging ahead. And I got what, 4 millennials working for me. They understand all this stuff you're doing here on Facebook, and they understand the Twitter and Instagram and all that social media stuff that us old guys don't know. And then I have an older, not older, he's probably in his 40s, who does all my fundraising. And then another gentleman who handles press releases and things like that.
So we just got a text message that says,
so we have about 7 people on staff.
Someone text message says too military heavy. So talk about civilian stuff.
All right, let's talk civilian healthcare or something.
Well, the other stuff I was going to talk about, about thoughts on live stream town halls, because I think it's honestly, I really want to bring this technology to the voters, that how easy it is to sit at your kitchen table, and we've probably reached easily 1,000 people tonight, probably a few thousand, just based on the numbers on.
And everyone's sitting at home, and you're not spending money or
there's no cars on the road, reducing
like
traffic, helping the disabled. It's green. And I have a question for you. Why did you so easily adapt to embrace this new technology? Can you speculate? This is a bit of a hit, but can you speculate why someone who campaigned hard on doing town halls in 2018 now refuses to do live stream town halls? And yes, I did actually officially invite her.
You have to talk to her.
Yeah,
I think this is a great way to meet my constituents. And again, they're live. It's not like she pulls it out of a hat or something and then reads it, or one of her staff goes.
Typically it's verified by a staff member before they
that's interesting.
Answer the question. If you don't know the question and you're uncomfortable with it, just say, I don't know the answer, and I will help find you an answer.
Yeah.
But let's talk, civilian stuff.
But she knows, exactly who I am. Actually, at the recent Irvine Veterans Day ceremony, I was in my uniform, and she came up and actually greeted me. She was very nice. She said, "Hi, Mark, how are you doing?" And she wanted to grab a quick photo, but the crowd unfortunately started hissing at her a little bit. So she's like, "I'm going to get out of here."
No, I've met her twice. Yeah. I met her on Memorial Day at El Toro, and I met her once on it was Earth Day or something. Yeah, we're planting plants over at one of the schools, and she was there. I said hi to her. I just don't know her that well. I'm sure she's a nice woman.
I keep it all professional.
Her policies, I have issues with.
Well, I'm concerned about the access to the voters. When you reach out, is someone going to be there to help you if you have an issue? And I think I've asked you before, after you get elected, how often would you do this? I'm not sure what you said, once a month, we're doing this about once a month. I had the idea when I got elected to school board, I just put the phone right there and just leave it live, and they can ask me a question as I'm in.
All right, here's some hard questions. Let me ask some hard questions. What do I think of the president going after McCain? He was a veteran. What the president said was he liked guys that didn't get shot down. Now, I would not have ever said that as being a veteran. Obviously, he spent time in a POW camp for six years. As a fellow veteran, I would not say that. I would be more respectful. I believe the two of them had political differences, both Republicans. So I would not have said that. And some of the things the president says he needs to tone down. Again, he's a developer from New York. He needs to understand when he says things, it gets out rather quick. And some of his tweets are rather tough to swallow sometimes, and he needs to tone it down. But I don't think it ever came to the point where he should have been impeached. If they wanted to censor him or something like that, I could see. But he didn't break any laws, but he does need to tone things down. So I do respect your question. Do you approve of POTUS going after a dedicated deceased rep, Honorable John Dingell? I'm not aware of what he said about the Honorable Dingell. I know the wife is there now, and she's good. She's a Democrat, but she's really she's on her toes and understands that. But no, I would respect our those that have passed and move on with that. So let's look at. No, I'm going to ask some of these questions. What do we got here?
We covered all these.
Okay.
This is we put them up.
Luke, I talked to Luke. Kristen Sands. We can't afford to have Katie Porter in Congress. Keep Orange County red. Anthony Ramirez, good guy. I like Anthony. We've been friends. Met him at a golf course, and we've been friends ever since. Anybody else? Nick, keep Orange County red.
I also wanted to comment real quick about something interesting that I've found is that a lot of people are really wrapped up on President Trump, but Greg's election is about the issues that are affecting the 45th Congressional District. And
we have a video about what he talked about, the taxes.
Yeah.
That's something. I don't think you want to show the video.
There's so much more important things going on.
Hey, Barry Goldwater Jr.'s out there. Hey, Barry, how you doing? His father, Barry, was our senator in Arizona, a good Republican senator from Arizona. Barry Goldwater, when I ran in 2014, he came out at the California convention and supported me. So thank you, Barry, for all your support, and I hope you're doing well. I believe you're out in Arizona there in Scottsdale area. So.
Wow, Barry Goldwater's a legend.
He's a legend.
That's
we
crazy.
love Barry,
Yeah.
and it's good to see Barry's doing well. But he is. I don't know if you're still with it, but the Combat Veterans for Congress is it's a political action committee that is supporting me and has endorsed me, and I receive very good endorsements all around the United States from different groups.
Awesome.
All right,
I
any
just
other questions?
We've received 5 more donations.
Oh, Benjamin Yu. Where's Ben Yu? I'll message him in there. 5 more donations.
Carol Little, Kyle McCroskey. I was supposed to meet with you, Kyle, before you left, so we'll meet after the first of the year. You wanted to get together and talk. There's Maggie. She owns the Maggie 76 gas station at Oso and the I-5 freeway. So if you need gas, drop on by and fill her up. Maggie's been a big supporter of Patriots and Paws, which is a veterans group that helps veterans here with dogs and furniture. So, all right.
Okay.
I'm going back to veterans issues. So
okay,
let's get back
let's
to
talk about just top 3 issues.
top 3 issues.
top 1.
I'd say number 1 is taxes. Taxes are way too high here in California. I believe the federal government takes $400 billion out of California every year. The state government takes $480 billion from taxpayers every year. That's almost $1 trillion of California money going to the government. That's way too high. If you count your property tax, you count your state, federal, and income tax and everything else, it's like 50 to 55% of your money is going through taxes. And where that makes us halfway towards socialism or communism, where all your money goes to the government, and that's unsatisfactory. Now, I do oppose the tax bill with the SALT issue. The state and local tax has a cap of $10,000. I do understand why that cap is there, is to get more money out of California to Washington. But as a congressman in my constituency, I would not support that the 10,000 cap on SALT. I'll make that perfectly clear, because my job is to support the 850,000 residents of the 45th Congressional District.
Okay, we have a question from John Park. Greg, there are 119,655 no NPP voters in 45th District. That's almost 28%. Why should these people vote for you?
Here's the thing. I've been knocking on doors for 2 months, along with many of my staff and volunteers, and right now we're hitting Republicans and MPPs. We haven't hit the Democrats yet. We'll probably hit them at the end if we have the time and the manpower. They look at me, and I tell them that I have life experience. I have experience in government, experience in the military, experience in business, and they understand that. And I got experience in business. And one of my competitors, he says, "Well, I'm the only businessman." No, I ran a business. I was president of a company, and I know how the taxes were just incredible. You have Social Security tax, so you got federal tax, state tax, just unemployment. You got to pay for bonds. You got to pay disability insurance. It's crazy. And I had one employee who we had to lay off, and I said, "I'll get you back in about 3 months when things picked up." I call him back. He goes, "I'm not coming back." I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I'm on unemployment. I'm not paying taxes. I got food stamps. I got Section 8 housing." And he goes, "I'm making more money not working." And that's the problem with the federal government and state government, when you pay them more money not to work.
Yep.
And it's funny, when I knock on doors, usually the Republicans aren't home because they're working, and the Democrats are home. So, but I'll be nice to the Democrats.
Okay.
I got a lot of good
I
friends.
have some questions about other things that are closer to home for schools, and maybe Lucy and your daughters could help this. I know Congress, that's way high up there, and I'm running for a school board. But let's do first of a few questions. How can you help me as a school board member keep our schools safer once you're into Congress? How can we work together? I know you're not in school board, you're Congress, but how can we work together to keep our kids safe at school? Because that's priority number one?
There's
for
federal
schools?
grants. There's federal grants for the schools, and work through the grant program to get the school districts to apply for these grants. I know the school districts, 2 school districts in Mission Viejo, Saddleback Valley, and Capistrano, and they've worked through grants. They have to stop the bleeding kits in all the schools. Obviously, we don't want to think about it, but if the unthinkable happens, we have that. We have our officers that go to all the high schools during the day. We have a squad car. We do have our deputies when they are coming back to the station. Instead of going back to the station during the day, do their reports, they'll go to one of our grade schools, our middle schools, and do their reports there. That way you have a squad car there to keep it safe. We're looking at fencing. We do have a secure Orange County school. Several of the politicians in Orange County are working to keep our schools safe.
Well, I was working more thinking about helping me lobby and persuade other leaders to help us. Like there's an issue with emergency communications. We need, I believe, radios. And there was, after a shooting in 1992, the city of Irvine created a task force that recommended handheld emergency style radios in the classrooms, and that was never implemented. So get your thoughts on that. And sometimes some people don't like change. They just kind of resist it. So I was wondering how we could work together on that.
I know we have a good relationship with the schools and our police force and our fire now. They're all on the same frequency.
We have amazing.
They're all on the same frequency.
We have an amazing police department. But when I was a cop on the desk, we had some emergency situations. We get 20 911 phone calls at one time, and you're just confused. You only have 8 patrols where to send people. So,
well, this isn't Los Angeles or San Francisco. This is Orange County. Orange County Sheriff Don Barnes is just phenomenal, doing an amazing job, and he has a great amount of deputies. And I know some of the cities in Orange County have local police forces, such as Irvine, but I think our police force is well respected, and we really appreciate everything they do.
So is it fair to say that you'll go with me to help me secure resources for the kids?
I will lead you in the right direction.
Thank you.
To have Cole here, who'll be running my office here in Orange County, to get you the right direction.
Okay.
But if you're ever in Washington, come see me. And if I'm back here,
you live down the street from me. I'll just come.
You just come by my office. We'll set up an office here, probably in Mission Viejo.
Someone is yelling at me what resources, and it's not always money.
It's federal dollars. No, there's block grant money.
Well, sometimes it's just reaching out to the right agencies and getting plugged in, and we can get free radios or free equipment. And they give it, like, how the military works. We can borrow this equipment on long-term, maybe 10 years, and we don't have to purchase it. And that sometimes happens pretty often in the government supply chain system. But we're getting into the weeds. I'll focus back on other things. What's that? What equipment? Oh, well, the easy low-hanging fruit is improve emergency communications. But we're getting way into the weeds there. I was looking more towards we're going to work together, which sounds like we would.
No, okay, go on. What else you got?
I was just more school stuff. You talk, I know you have 2 daughters that are school teachers.
Anybody watching?
So, oh yeah, we still have a couple hundred people.
Yeah. Don't you guys go to bed? What time is it? Well, I mean, what a crazy night. I feel so bad that this country just went through what they did tonight with this impeachment. I'm just shocked. If you would have watched it today, and I did get to watch a couple hours, it was just, you had one side, he's a criminal, he's a crook. The other side, there's nothing there. It was black and white.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Another one thing that concerns me was the overreach from the state, that the governor signed in a law when school starts. I mean, that should be decided at the local level. Would you agree, disagree?
Yeah. The state can lay out guidelines, but let the school districts handle it when they start. And get the state. I mean, the state should not be involved in when kids go to school and when they leave school.
Homework policies.
I know Kamala Harris wanted to go from 8 in the morning to 8 at night or something, or till 6 at night. So the parents will have to find babysitters from 3 to 6. But it's been that way forever.
Well, I think it should be decided at the local level. Hypothetically, there could be a city with a factory by it, and the factory has a certain set, and all the parents in that district say, "Hey, we're going to do this." And
but here's the thing: I've been to some of our high schools here, and you hear all this propaganda about how they're not learning anything about civics or chemistry. These kids, they know a lot more than I knew when I was in high school. I was a judge of a science fair, sophomores, which are 14-year-olds, and they're talking about the solar system, and I was just totally blown away at Trabuco Hills High School. I was the principal of the day at Capistrano Valley High School here in Mission Viejo, and these students are amazing, and also at Mission Viejo High School. They did just a phenomenal job. So our schools are doing great. Don't listen to all the propaganda. They're not learning anything, and they don't know history, and they're not learning about geography or things like that. But I'm totally impressed with the schools here in Orange County. And I know the Irvine schools are just like off the charts.
I went to Capistrano Valley High School.
I don't.
How'd you do? Look at you. You're okay.
I was going to say the same thing. Thanks.
Where'd you go? UCI then, and then Arizona State for your master's?
Sun Devil.
Yeah, he's a Sun Devil. How does it go like that? Fork 'em?
So,
Sun Devils in the Sun Bowl this year. Beautiful record of 7-5. They're playing in the Sun Bowl.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I think you got another donation.
Cha-ching.
Benjamin Yu said he just matched 5 2020s.
Benjamin.
Thank you, Ben.
So,
All right. Remember now, if you donate more than $200, if it's 200 or more, we need to know where you work, your employer, and your job. Like, I work for IBM and I'm an analyst. So we'll know those two things. Everything has to be turned into the Federal Election Commission. How much donations are coming in. We've raised over $400,000 so far. Hope to have over $500,000 by Election Day. One of our opponents has raised a lot of money, but a lot of his money he can't spend because you can max out for the primary and max out for the general. I'm just asking money right now for the primary election, and then you'll hear back from me after the primary.
Oh, then I'll be bugging you.
It's called an investment. You invest in the candidate, and I need you to invest in me. I put up $100,000 of my own money to get started, so I have skin in the game. So it's not like I'm get that off the camera.
There's yours.
Almighty. Mark,
there's yours.
is this me or you? Who's this for?
So, how much donations did you guys
Running
get for the
school
night?
board? Don't worry about it. Let's keep talking. Get that off the screen.
This is your website. There you go. They're looking at yours.
Put me on the screen.
There you go.
Am I on?
Right there. There you go.
There I am. Mark Nugent's running for school board. He's doing all this, though. He set this all up, so I got to give him some props, and I do appreciate it,
Thank
Mark. And I'd love to, we win this election. I'm going to need some help with them handling military claims and things like that.
Of course.
With
I know
your
you'll
background. I'd love to talk more about that at another time. But right now,
$500. $500 for the
right.
live stream is pretty good.
Thank you very much.
This wasn't
everybody.
even branded as a fundraiser, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, I have a few more questions. I know we're coming up on an hour and 40 minutes. How long have you lived in the 45th Congressional District? I heard you bought this house when you were a young Marine Corps officer. Are you the original owner of your home?
I bought a house in 1978, so 41 years ago. Not this house. Our buddy of mine who's in the Marine Corps, we're both 78, so I was 25 years old. We both chipped in and bought a 3-bedroom house in Mission Viejo, further from here, more north of this house. When I got married, I bought him out, and then my wife moves in with me, and then we start our family. So we've moved twice. We had bought another house, and then we bought this house. This house we've had since 1990, so we've had this house for 29 years. And it was 4 years old when we bought it, and it was still a lot of money back then, so I think it's comparable to what it's worth now.
Okay.
I mean, in 2019 dollars.
And do you live in the district?
Absolutely,
Okay.
I live in the district.
Just
Two candidates don't live in the district.
Just asking.
But you don't have to live in the district.
Is that
But it helps because I know my community. I know my people. I know the people that live in the district. I understand them. I very diverse district. There's a lot of Asian Americans in the Irvine area. We have Hispanics down here. I get along. I was never ever been racist. I grew up in a loving family, and I will represent everybody. And there's not a racist bone in my body.
So, you own property in the 45th since 1975? Is that what you said about the first
78.
house? 78. Okay. As we're wrapping up, what's your next event?
What do we got coming up? Christmas? No, we actually have a Jewish on the 26th.
We have a Mono Nico fundraiser on Saturday.
We have a fundraiser this Saturday
at Mono Nico Art Gallery, Mission Viejo Mall.
Mono Nico Art Gallery at the mall. What time is that? 1 o'clock?
3 p.m.
3 p.m. And then on the 22nd, we have a potluck with the Jewish community in Costa del Sol.
Yep.
Okay. Is there a place where people can go? Is it?
Yeah, on our webpage, it's under events. It goes through all the events we're having. So you go to our webpage. So you can go to that. Make sure that's up to date. We'll check that tonight.
Okay.
And then on the 26th, we're having a Jewish event over
a Hanukkah event.
At Branches Olive Oil off of Via Fabricante, and that's in the evening. And that should wrap it up for the year. So we have 3 events this year. We got about 6 scheduled for January. All hell's going to break loose in January. You're going to get so much literature in the mail and TV commercials. We've done all our advertising. We bought all our ads. So we're all set with that. And we're excited. We have TV and mailers going out, and obviously social media. And we have an army knocking on doors. So we've hit some.
We're about to hit 6,500.
We've hit 6,500 doors in the last 6 weeks. And that means about 10,000 voters, because there's average of 2.2 voters per house. And we're finding on weekends about 40% answer the door. We're talking to them. And on weekdays, about 10-12%. If they're not home, we leave a brochure. I'm sorry we missed you. And if they have that ring thing, we ring it, and I talking to the ringer because someone's watching me somewhere. Because some guy goes, "Hey, I'm almost there. I'll be right there," and he pulls up in his car. We talk to him for a while, so it's pretty cool. And I always usually go out with somebody else. We go out in pairs. It's a little more safe, and but going to Republican households, we haven't had one person telling me to leave. And they're so psyched on getting this Orange County red again. So we're really excited about that.
What's great, too, is that everybody already knows Greg. And so it makes my job a lot easier, because I just knock on the door and I'm like, "Hey, I'm here from Greg Raths campaign. I love Greg. He's the man."
So if you guys want to learn more, gregraths.com. And I have one final question.
I got my big truck, by the way, with my big sign in the back.
Yeah, I was driving up. I was like, "Which house is it again?" Oh, yeah. It's like a 50-foot sign outside.
Actually, the congressman who was out here last weekend from Michigan, he goes, "I got to get me one of these." He goes, "But in Michigan, it'll be an old beat-up truck because he's up in the Upper Peninsula." He said they go door to door in a snowmobile.
Oh, wow.
And he was pretty impressed that we're walking and there's no snow.
Man, we got all these complainers, and he's out there in the snow trucking it.
From one part of his district to the other is 10 hours. And
wow.
And ours is like 10 miles. I mean, in good traffic, he can go from end to end in 20 minutes.
Yeah, wow.
But we're hitting Rancho Santa Margarita real hard. We're hitting Laguna Hills. Most of my money's coming in from Mission Viejo and Laguna Hills, which is really cool.
When's your next volunteer event? When are you walking precincts?
We're actually going to be doing a big walk day on Saturday, Friday and Saturday. So if you'd like to find out more about that, you can contact me. My email is going to be Cole, COLE, @gregraths.com. I'd love to get you set up walking.
You can type it in there. Those are the comments.
Cole @gregraths.com.
Do you guys,
COLE.
I know you guys do put the events on the event page of your candidate Facebook page.
Yeah,
if you're
Cole
watching this on
handles that.
Facebook, just
well,
go
we're
to the
getting
events.
ready on Saturday. We're doing this totally all new website. It's going to be unveiled, and so we might not have all the events up right now, but
it'll be ready to go.
I've been seeing you guys been posting them on Greg Raths for Congress Facebook page.
We do it on Facebook. We do Twitter. We got a huge following on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually just got followed by Charlie Kirk yesterday.
Awesome.
If you're familiar with Turning Point USA.
Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, on the events, what I find is convenient when you guys put on Facebook, I just click add to calendar, and it's in my iPhone right there.
There you go.
That's perfect.
That's what you
So,
got.
and I know you guys been doing that, so I just want to remind people, just go to the events.
On the new website, our events page will be synchronized with our Facebook page, so that when you post it to the Facebook, it'll be automatically posted on our website. People will get to explore all the detail events. If it's you need to buy tickets, you'll be able to buy tickets on the site. It'll be nice and easy.
Okay.
We got Ben Chapman, who runs the Republican Thinker on Facebook. It's called the Republican Thinker, and he has like 100,000 plus, I think 140,000 followers.
We're streaming to them right now.
So we love the Republican Thinker. We love Ben,
Thanks,
great
Ben.
guy, and Craig Chapman. It's an amazing website or a Facebook page, and he's been promoting my campaign. And we're hitting hard with the Greater Irvine Republicans. They're having a big debate coming up in January. And then I think they're going to do a straw poll near the end and see who did the best.
Yeah, that's a restrictive forum. They don't want any videos. Or,
Oh yeah,
and they're like
Republicans only.
Yeah, it's weird. They're like checking voter registration at the door. I'm joking.
This guy, John Park, he was not happy with the Republican Party in Orange County, and especially in Irvine. And he started his own group, and it's called the Greater Irvine Republicans. He started with 20 people. What is it now?
800 vetted people.
800 vetted people.
The Christmas gala was big.
Yeah,
it was.
He had a big Christmas gala in Irvine, and the Republican women's groups have been amazing. Tustin Republican women, Newport Harbor women. My wife she takes over January 1st as president of the Saddleback Valley Republican women. So I've been to all the Republican women groups, talking to them. I've been talking to the Chamber of Commerce's, the Rotary clubs. I'm the president of the Mission Viejo Rotary Club, so I get out there. I'm retired, and that's another thing. All other 5 candidates they all have full-time jobs. I'm retired, so when I win the primary, I can campaign 24/7 while Katie's back in Washington. I'll be knocking on doors and talking to people and everything else. But I think we need about $500,000 to win this primary, which we're getting very close. And then it's about a $5 million race to win the general. So I'll be coming back in March to ask for more investments into me.
So I'm thinking we've been doing this, but once every 30 days. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, this is good. We have a lot of people watching. I do appreciate it. And like you said, they don't have to go to a town hall. They don't have to get in their car and expend gasoline.
Yeah,
that's the best part is they can watch at home with their family, and they can discuss amongst themselves and share amongst themselves.
Right.
Awesome.
Okay.
So
anything else?
No, the questions like the first 15
it's 9
minutes.
o'clock, so we said 2 hours.
So,
and I do appreciate. What is this number here?
Thank you,
That's
everybody.
people watching. 95 people.
Wow.
All right. I have 26 on this phone because we're broadcasting on multiple channels.
And we have a bunch on Twitter as well.
Then you have 20 from your page, 20 on your personal, 4 on your congressional. I have 31 on my personal. So I have multiple screens right here.
Well, we're getting down to the wire. February 3rd is only 45 days away. That's when you're going to get your vote in the mail. Again, it will say 45th Congressional District, and it'll be a guy named Greg Raths. And it will say retired Marine Colonel, and that's me. So you just fill in a little box, lick it, mail it in, sign it, mail it in, and we count the votes that night, and either we party hard or we go back to normal living.
We party harder.
Okay, just want to give you
So thank you all very much.
Final word, okay?
I hope I answered all your questions, but we didn't get much on health care, but I really behind a pre-existing condition to help those people make sure they get the proper insurance. So on behalf of the Greg Raths for Congress campaign, I thank you very much for joining us tonight.
There you go.